Hey, can you hear us okay online? Carol, Jennifer, can you hear us okay?
It's 6 o'clock. It's time to start this business meeting of Urbana School District 116. Roll call, please.
Member Jones?
Here.
Member Baxley?
Here.
President Pulowski?
Here.
Vice President Exum?
Here.
Member Langendorf here. Member Staton?
Here.
Member Hickson?
You're on mute, Jennifer.
Sorry, here.
Thank you. Any additions, corrections, or modifications to tonight's agenda? Hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Move for approval.
Second.
Since we have a remote vendor, all votes tonight have to be roll call. Roll call, please.
Oh, okay. Member Baxley?
Yes.
President Pulowski?
Yes.
Vice President Exum?
Yes.
Member Langendorf, yes. Member Staton?
Yes.
Member Hickson?
Yes.
Member Jones?
Yes.
There will be no call tonight to go into an executive session. Next up are citizen statements. If anybody here present wishes to make a statement for the board, please fill out a goldenrod sheet in the back of the room and hand it to our recording secretary, Lori Johnson. So seeing as we have a mostly empty room, there's no one here to make a statement. So going on past policy review, there is none tonight. Our first action item is to appoint our student ambassadors, Citlali Cortez Alvarez and Valentina Gonzalez Owerma, is filling our ambassador seats. Is there a motion from the board to appoint our student ambassadors?
I move.
Go ahead, Tori.
I move for approval of the appointment of the two student ambassadors.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further comments or discussion? Roll call, please.
President Pulowski?
Yes.
Vice President Exum?
Yes.
Member Langendorf, yes. Member Staton?
Yes, and welcome.
Member Hickson?
Yes.
Member Jones?
Yes.
And Member Baxley?
Yes.
Welcome and congratulations. We'll now swear you in. So, yep, stand up. This is pretty short. I'll try to go piece by piece. I say your name. Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of student ambassador to the Board of Education of Urbana School District 116 in accordance with the policies of the Board of Education.
in accordance with the policies of the Board of Education.
I further swear
I further swear
that I encourage and respect the free expression of opinion
that I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion. That I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion
by myself and board members
by myself and board members.
And-
Sorry.
and others who seek a hearing before the board.
And others who seek a hearing before the board. And others who seek a hearing before the board.
Welcome and congratulations.
We're going to give Sitlali and Valentina a minute to just introduce themselves formally and tell us anything that they want to tell us about themselves. So if you have your little, you don't have to hold it like I was, just kind of put it close to you.
Okay.
Pretty close, yeah.
Hi, I'm Citlali Cortez Alvarez. I'm a senior, and yeah. Hi, I'm Valentina Gonzalez Awerma. I am a junior, and yeah.
Okay. All right. Welcome, you guys. So when you're not using those, you can turn them off. So they're red when they're off, and they're just push it on up. Perfect.
Yes. We do have two administrative reports tonight. The first up is our school improvement plan presentation. Yep, go ahead, Chastity.
Oh, she doesn't have a screen, John.
She's excited. Yeah. So she's good.
Yeah, we have one of our board members is remote tonight. She can't hear you unless you're talking directly into that.
Good evening. I'm back. I know you couldn't wait to see me again, so hello. Talk about school improvement. Welcome to our new members. I'm Ms. Beckless. I am the Director of Equity and School Improvement. Thank you. All right. Can you hear me okay, Member Hickson? Okay, perfect. Wonderful. So I came on August the 6th and I presented school improvement plans for our designated schools, like targeted or comprehensive schools. And so I'm back to present the remainder of the schools. All right, so first up, we have our wonderful Yankee Ridge Multilingual Elementary School. And I will say that the district, prior to me getting here, worked really hard to ensure that this school, because it's a new school, has no designation. Am I correct, Dr. Aubrey Tatum, for this year? So you'll see that some of their goals too, just keep in mind that they're beginning. And so these are students who were kind of spread across the district, now in one building. And so their goals will kind of reflect some of that as well. So they have an SLA priority MAP growth goal. They would like for the year 23-24, 42.24% of their first through fourth graders will meet their Spanish MAP projected growth goal. And they want to increase that by 5%. So by May of 2025, they want to see that at 47%. For ELA, they're doing very similar things, a 5% increase. Right now, well, for the spring, they had data of all the students who they knew were coming to Yankee Ridge. They had the data, and that was 43.6% of students meeting their growth goal in first through fourth in ELA, and they want to get that to 48% by May of 2025. They kept with an increase of about 5%. So if you look at the MAP growth for math, this is all students included in first through fourth. So our SLA, ELA students as well. the whole population, first through fourth. There was a 39% growth. Well, there was 39% of students, meeting their growth, and they want to push that up to 44% for this year. Right. Their chronic absenteeism rate was 23.8%, and they want to see that decrease to 20% for this upcoming school year. And some of their key activities include really important vertical and horizontal alignment of Spanish, French, and English language development. So that is important that they're all in the same building now. They'll be working collaboratively in order to ensure that vertical alignment. They're going to have regular collaboration meetings. They're going to give PD for all staff to improve some of those evidence-based and high leverage teaching practices and essential literacy skills for students with language acquisition and our dual language programming. And they're going to create needs assessments for students who are chronically absent as well. And another thing that they plan to do is to ensure that they are introducing and implementing culturally relevant teaching practices in their school. So there'll also be some PD around that. Okay, and the next school we have up is Urbana Early Childhood. I will note here that Urbana Early Childhood, they do not take the MAP assessment. Of course, this is pre-K, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. So they're really focused on the K-bound students, and so all of the goals are specific to kids who are going to kindergarten for the upcoming year. And so they use ELS as part of their assessments. And then we really want to focus here in their literacy part, that vocabulary, and then in the math piece, we will be focusing on really connecting numbers to quantity tool. So not just rote memorization of numbers, counting from 1 to whatever, but really quantity discrimination. Do kids know that this is 3, this is 4, and those are essential skills when we are moving into kindergarten. So from fall to spring, they want all their K-bound students to increase their overall score by at least 2 on the UECS vocabulary checklist, or maintain and increase their expressive labeling by at least 2 on the vocabulary checklist. From fall to spring in math, they want the K-bound students to increase their overall score by at least 3 or maintain a score of 9. So 9 is the total. If they get 9 the first time they assess it, they want to make sure that they at least maintain that score of 9 for the whole year. But if they score 4 in the fall, then they want to make sure that they at least get to a 7 by the end of the year on the connected numbers to quantity tool. And all of these assessments for our pre-K students are given individually, and the school SIT team has worked to create an assessment kind of calendar too, so the assessments are done in a timely manner and around the same time, and so that they can keep track and progress monitor how close they are to their goals. For the chronic absenteeism goal, they want to provide tiered support to reduce the chronic absenteeism rate from 56% to below 40%. Some of their key activities, they want to make sure that staff explore IEP assessment accommodations. So those assessments that they will be given, making sure that students have access to complete the assessment appropriately and for their needs. They're having follow-up data reviews as well. They're going to provide professional development around numbers and quantity, family engagement activities about specifically counting and quantity. They're also going to establish and review an assessment protocol with attendance and wording, and they're going to create a shared document of ideas to how to increase attendance. Okay, next up we have Urbana High School, and they have 2 goals, one in ELA from fall to spring. They want the percentage of students who met their projected reading growth within a 21st percentile. So 21st to 100th percentile, I would kind of consider those as like our tier 1 and 2 kids. If you're below the 21st percentile, you're usually receiving some type of tier 3 supports. And so they're saying with those students who are within that percentile, they want to increase their overall percentage. So if there's 100, or if, let's say that 55% of those students made it last year, they want to increase by 5% so that it's 60% of those students within that band meet their projected growth for this year in ELA. And then when we moved to fall, they increased it by 10%. And so again, they want to see 10% of their students increase their growth as compared to the previous school year. That is a typo. It should not say 22, 23. It should say 23, 24. So they were looking and reviewing spring data of the students that just finished the previous school year. Their chronic absenteeism goal, they want 60% of students who are considered critical and at-risk attendance. That means that they're attending 90% or less, category as seen in Panorama Student Success Survey. They want to see it decrease down to 45% of students or less to be indicated in the critical and at-risk attendance category. Some of their key activities include unpacking the Panorama data in order to monitor for student success by grade level strands, but also looking at demographically in lots of spaces across the building. They want to increase classroom attendance by using the CASEL signature practices and ABIT strategies. Many of our educators went to ABIT training this year as well. They want to also promote daily attendance at UHS through students being excited about coming to assemblies, night events, athletics, clubs, and activities. And they want to review attendance procedures and policies, engage in professional development. They're also going to unpack that MAP data to monitor student success. As you can see, that's a common thread throughout our schools. It's really finding protocols and using them consistently to unpack MAP data and also to monitor student progress. Okay, next up we have Gerber, and their priority goal number 1 for ELA is they're using the RIT score. They want 75% of students will make their projected growth on the literacy assessment. For math, they want 75% of students to meet their projected growth as well. So they have a smaller population. They want 75% of those students to make sure that whatever goal that MAP sets for them in the fall, that they are meeting that goal. Chronic absenteeism, they really looked at this through a lens of time out of class. And so they recognize that when students are out of class for social and emotional needs or behavioral circumstances, they're missing access to their educational opportunities. And so they are going to decrease their average student time out of class by 15% as compared to their data from last school year. Some of their key activities, training on the HMH curriculum, so that's the new curriculum being implemented. Also Gerber will be using that. Data coaching, really having conversations with staff about data and what that means and how they can push students to meet those goals. Having student goal setting conferences too, so students understand what goal they need to make and be able to push them in setting goals for themselves as well. They're doing ongoing illustrative math training. That was the new math curriculum that rolled out last year. Continuing that staff training on trauma and disability, that is so important to their population. And then really thinking about time out of class data meetings with students. So the students then have a layer of understanding of how much time that they're spending out of class and missing that access to education. Okay, Thomas Paine, they have their ELA goal for 1st through 5th graders. They want to increase it from 39% last spring, that was the data that they had, to 44%. So first through fifth grade, we want to move about 5% in order to see some increase in our students meeting their growth goals. In math, they're doing the same thing, a 5%. They were 33% in the spring, and they want to move to 38% when we come in spring 2025. For their absenteeism goal, they have, when using reports from Panorama, we would decrease the number of students in critical category as shown on the student success report from 14% from May 2024 to 10% or less by May 2025. Some of their key activities include walkthrough and collaboration notes, identifying those chronically absent students and providing targeted interventions, providing families with resources, emphasizing the importance of instructional time, Tier 1 support for building co-teacher model to support the core instruction, utilizing benchmark assessments for data gathering, and building fidelity using CKLA, the new ELA curriculum, and utilizing materials aligned with the science of reading. So this is just a shout out to all of the teams, the school improvement teams that worked really hard this May, again, to create some of these goals, and even came back in the summer or early this school year to kind of edit some of their goals or add key activities as well. And as always, shouting out to the Student Learning Department for supporting all of these schools and these leaders. There's also a handout that I gave last time I was here in August. Member Hickson asked for something that is more visually representative across the district, and so in collaboration with Catherine, we created this handout so you can see the district goals. Member Hickson, I think you have a PDF version of it, and everyone else has a kind of a hard copy for now. I'm sure we can share out the PDF afterwards at some point. Great. And this is something that we want to disseminate as well to staff so they see, and we're very transparent about here are our district goals, but also our school improvement goals across our district as well.
Thank you. And that's a lot of ground covered in a pretty quick time. Board members, any questions about any of that? Go ahead, Sherry.
I have a question, and I know that you won't have an answer right now, but something maybe to think about or consider. We don't want children to come to school when they're sick. Is there any data, especially with the Early Child Center, on how often these kids are getting sick, and because they might linger longer as well, and what it really is considered a health absence versus other reason?
Yes, so I talked with Ms. Madigan about that and being sick, you know, especially early childhood, and it's a half-day program, so really if they're not feeling well, it's not very convenient for our families to bring them. I think the biggest thing is having that family engagement to know like that they are sick. So a lot of this chronic absenteeism, we don't know why they're staying home, but if we can keep in connection with the parents to say, okay, that child is sick, then we can mark that in Skyward or Panorama, that's what early childhood uses, to ensure that it's marked appropriately, and that doesn't really show up in our chronic absenteeism as a just no call, no show would.
Anyone else?
I have a question about the French program at Yankee Ridge, and I was wondering, we didn't mention the French speakers at all in the school improvement goals. And I assume that they are all in the math goal. I mean, everybody in the school is in the math goal, I presume. And then the English language arts goal. Is there a French language arts goal or?
Not at this time. I can take that question back to the team, Member Hickson. But I'm sure we're probably talking about, from what I've gained in understanding, the appropriateness of the assessment in that language for our students. Are you saying yes, Dr.?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's partially because we don't have the same level of curriculum and assessment in French that we have in Spanish.
Mhm. Okay. Okay, and that was correct, right? The English language arts goals and the math goals are for everybody.
Correct.
Yes,
Right.
unless it specifically says SLA, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I have one more question about the Yankee Bridge chronic absenteeism numbers, because it said that it wanted an improvement over the prior year, but I was wondering how that was measured, because almost every kid in that building's coming from a different building from the prior year. So was was that a district average you were comparing to, or what the absenteeism was for those strands of students when they were at Leal and Dr. Williams?
That's a great question. To my knowledge, John and Dr. Ivy Tatum, you can help. The data about the chronic absenteeism when it was given to SIP teams was for the students who would be enrolling at
Yes.
Yankee Ridge, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so we did, we had all the students of where they were going for this current school year, and we had all their individual chronic absenteeism data, as well as all their academic map data. And so we put a little predictive analysis together for the principals for their school improvement meeting, kind of at the beginning of the middle of the summer, where they could see what they would be getting with all of their future students, more or less, assuming that all the students were going where they're supposed to.
No, that's great. All right, that answers
And
that
we will
question.
continue to monitor if it changes as well to make any revisions as needed.
Thank you. Anyone else?
One more question. It might have been just a typo, but in what was sent to us online before, it said that the high school was comparing 22-23 data.
Yes, I apologize. That was a typo. They were
That was a
comparing it-
typo.
yes,
Okay,
they
I
were
just wanted to
comparing it
make sure.
the
Thanks.
Data in the spring.
All right. Please go ahead, Lola.
Just wondering about, I know it's probably still early too, about the assemblies and the night activities that they were looking at. You have,
We don't have full dates, but I will tell you that that team has started really planning for those activities. Some are on our engagement calendar as well. So that has been a big push for all of us, is making sure that our calendars are kind of proactively planned out and that we're sharing what's happening at each school so we can be as supportive as possible. I hope to share some of those pictures when we come back at whatever time. This was this event.
okay.
So I was just gonna add that when Ms. Webster was here, she shared, through the equity plan, that the district had been running a lot of those family engagement, activities, Lola, and we're kind of pushing those back to the buildings this year. So the 4 major ones that we'll have is, curriculum night in September. There's gonna be a math and science night, family reading night in November, and SEL night. So those are the 4 consistently that we're asking all the schools to, focus on, for family engagement. They'll have other things, but those are the things that we're really pushing in terms of curriculum, to have that consistency that every single building will have at least those 4 events. Yep. Yep.
Anyone else? Any more questions? Board members, ambassadors? All right, thank you so much for the report.
Thank you.
Our last administrative report this evening is from Urbana Middle School staff about Yonder.
It's a little fancy. Just a middle button.
You guys both have a,
All right, so we're going to be getting into a presentation talking about Yonder, which we're really, really excited about to roll out to our school, to roll out to our parents, students, and in the community, kind of to see the positive implications that are going to be associated with this new program. So, Yonder creates cell phone-free spaces. I was telling my admin team that I went to a comedy show. I actually went to go see a Kevin Hart comedy show. And when you went to the comedy show, you had to put your cell phone in a Yonder pouch. So it was my first time actually seeing the exposure of what it looks like. And what it does, it just makes everyone who's attending something be fully there. So like be fully engaged and not be distracted by your cell phones. So again, it just talks about how schools, theaters, comedy shows, concerts, special events, all create these cell phone free spaces. All right, so this slide here talks about like the impact. So there's quite a bit of different data has been done and research has been done that shows that when adolescents engage in cell phones, they sleep less, they spend less time talking with friends, they have more anxiety, and are more likely to feel loneliness. And we see that on a lot of different levels at our school regarding 6th graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders, especially like the mental health aspect. I think that that's the area that we really don't get to see and really don't know like the full effects of always students having cell phones constantly in their possession. So this slide here just talks about the mental health aspects and both how mental health is impacted by cell phones and also the academic parts of this. So at the top it says that a cross-sectional study of adolescents were done for ages 11 through 15. I'm trying, can I go down? Sorry, it's blocking my slide a little bit. And it found that a positive association between social media and poor sleep quality, again, talking about the mental health aspects, that having cell phones constantly in students' hands causes a bevy of mental health things to come up. And academically, it said that there was an academic ban on cell phones at a high school. It showed that a quantile improvement by 14.23% of the standard deviation. So that's quite a bit of improvement with not having cell phones in a school. Banning cell phones is a low-cost way for schools to address educational equity. This slide talks about like how public officials are also like acknowledging the major impact that cell phones have when they're in schools. This slide here talks about the extraordinary public warning, the risk of social media for young people, citing a profound risk of harm to adolescents and their mental health, and urging families to limit and govern and tougher standards for use. So again, in our whole pitch here, and kind of just what we're rolling out to our staff, that there's a time and place for cell phones, but we really don't see the need to have cell phones in schools. And that's why we're really pushing for this to be a successful rollout. We want our students to really be engaged in learning, to not be engaged in things like behavioral issues that come up related to cell phones. And we see that connection, and we think that's going to have a great academic connection for our students. So Yonder has already partnered up with 16 different countries, many different school districts. I've had a chance to pick the brain of some principals who already have been doing this for years, and they brag on this program. When Yonder does the surveys, they shows that 83% saw improvements in student engagement, 74% saw improvement in student behavior, and 65% of the survey showed that an improvement in academic performance.
And so just a couple things to know. You'll notice that it has a one-to-one assignment. So what that... Now it is. So you'll see here, sorry, I'm Julia Lowry. I believe I've introduced myself to all of you before, but if not, I'm one of the assistant principals. So we are having a one-to-one assignment. Our team went back and forth on this a lot. We did a lot of reflection and a lot of collaboration with Yonder, because in our heads, we're like, oh my gosh, we need to keep these in the schools. We can't send them home. What are we going to do if we send them home? And I think our team wholeheartedly went into implementation with that intent. We worked really hard with Yonder to talk about that, and we really wanted to rely on their expertise. Like Derek said, they've been doing this for 10 years in schools. We've never done it, so why wouldn't we listen to them? And they brought up all of the struggles that can happen if you don't one-to-one assign. So, for example, they're like, what if someone goes into the bathroom and cuts it open, and then you don't know who did that? You can't assign a consequence. You can't follow up with the family. You can't assign a new pouch. So we thought really, really long and hard about it, and we've decided to go through with the one-to-one assignment. So each student will receive a pouch, and we're going to show you some things with it. But they'll have a pouch like this, and I'm going to pass these around in a minute. And on it, Tanya Deacon and I were already working on labeling. It'll say like the team the grade level, the team letter, so like 6A would be dynamic, and then it'll have a number as well. And so we want to be able to reuse these when our 8th graders move on. So we didn't want to put student names or student IDs, because then we would have to replace those even if they were still in good shape. We're trying to be cost effective for the district. But it will have a label, so that if Julia Lowry damages her pouch or Julia Lowry loses her pouch, we can follow up with the family accordingly, with the student accordingly. So that is just kind of the reason we're going with the one-to-one assignment as opposed to keeping it in the building. And I promise you, we explored countless avenues. We really, really did. So I hope we can trust our judgment on that one. Oh yeah, oh no, the clicker. Can I make it? I'm usually pretty good with technology. You're fixing it for me, Derek. Thank you.
Let's see, maybe.
You want me to try?
Pop up,
Yeah. Okay.
Nope, never mind.
No, that's not it. John, we might need you.
Full screen.
Oh, I think I'm good now. Is that good? Okay. So I'm going to get more into the daily process. You'll see that the basic idea is that when students are coming in, there will be these mounted magnets. And then I'll show you how that works in a second. They'll come in, they'll they'll have to open up their pouch, because if you leave it open, the mechanism can get damaged. So they'll come in, they'll open their pouch, a staff member will see them place it into their phone, and then they'll move into the school day. And so that all comes in as they're going, and then they'll do the same process as on their way out. So to outline that a little bit more detailed for you, this is what we've actually shared with our staff. So a lot of this presentation is specifically from Yonder, because we wanted to give you all the good information they share with us, but this wording is specific to UMS. So you'll see they'll come in, they'll have to take out their phone, they'll have to put it in the pouch. They will arrive with their assigned pouch, and they we'll have it at all the doors they come in, so it's not like they're entering in different entrances. They'll be unlocking bases at each of those. They're going to turn their cell phone off, or they can turn it on airplane mode. This was something that our team didn't realize initially, and actually came out in our presentation with Yonder, that if they put it on airplane mode, families can still track the GPS of their students. So if that is a concern that's come up with you from our constituents, you can explain that they can still track the GPS of their students if they put it on airplane mode. If a student says, hey, I didn't bring my cell phone to school today, that's fine. We're not going to get into a power struggle with every student that comes in, unless we have a reason to know that that student typically does or something like that. But we'll say, okay, that's fine, Derek. Just a reminder, if your cell phone is seen, heard, observed in any single way, it goes automatically to the office for parent pickup. If they say they forgot their pouch that day, it will automatically go into the office for parent pickup. And we've already been implementing that at the middle school right now. Right now, we're not doing it in the cafeteria and the hallways, because that would take up the majority of our day, but we have been confiscating phones out of classrooms all week. And for the most part, they're keeping them away because they know. But also what will go in their smartwatches, AirPods. We talked a lot about AirPods, but because we know that some students, listen to music or things when they work, but their Chromebooks don't connect via Bluetooth. So if it's a Bluetooth via headphones, there's no reason for them to have it. They can't use it unless they have access to their phones. So they still can bring a plug-in. That's come up in some of our IEPs and things. Oh, well, my student has access to music. Absolutely. They can bring in a plug-in or use a school plug-in to still listen to whatever they were doing before. They just can't use their AirPods. And so I said if they forgot their cell phone, if they got their pouch. And then another question is that we have a small handful of our students with IEPs who come in through a special door. And so we're going to coordinate with their TAs, because all of those students require supervision. Otherwise, they wouldn't be coming in that way. And they'll still be able to pouch their cell phones. And then dismissal. We will have the mounts at different doors, because our kids come in and leave in different doors. And so very similarly, it's a little less supervised, because we don't have as much worry that they're not going to unpouch. And hey, if they don't want to unpouch, I guess that's on them. But so they're going to have more motivation, right? So there shouldn't be a ton of resistance at that time, so they'll walk by, they'll unpouch, like I'll show you in a moment, and then they get to take their phones, everything out, take it home with them, take their pouch with them, and be on their way. A couple of things about the magnets that I forgot to mention is, I should have brought one, Randy, I don't know, I forgot to bring the actual amount, but that's okay. They're a circle and that you can attach to the wall, and then the magnet comes off. So the magnet won't be up there all day. So essentially, we will have staff who go and put the magnets on there for entrance, then they'll come take them down, and then we'll put them back up. Obviously, if we had them just sitting there all day, a student could go unlock their phone, so that wouldn't work. For our front doors, where we have the metal detectors, we're gonna have them on rolling carts, and those ones, we're gonna affix the magnet on there, because obviously a kid can't take off with a whole cart. I mean, they could, but they wouldn't get very far, right? There also are handheld ones. I forgot to say that as well. So our deans, our office staff, they will have handheld ones that look like this. And so this one will just be kept in secure location. Like, we're not gonna leave it sitting out. So we have these ones as well if we need them. Well, let's show you guys, because I keep talking about it. Okay, so the kids come in, there's this black little ball right here, and then there's a magnet like this, and then sometimes you hit it and it pops right open like that. You'll see the little green part came out. Sometimes it doesn't work that nicely, but it still comes out. So if I like attach it, now it's gonna do it every time. But if it doesn't open for some reason, I get it on here, then you just press this little button and then it pops out. Most of the time it pops, but sometimes you just press the button if it doesn't. And then you'll see, I'm gonna show you on mine, like I would put my phone on airplane mode. Somebody suggested I bring my AirPods as well. And then they would pouch it, and then when it was time to go, they would just get their stuff out, and then they're done. So we were gonna pass this around if anyone wanted to try it. We have a couple of pouches and the magnet. Yeah, Randy said he would pass it
I'm
around.
sure high school ambassadors are eager to see this.
I am gonna close it and have you open it, just because it's good practice, and also, like I said, they say that if you leave it open, it can get damaged, and so we obviously wanna avoid that if we can. Okay, so some FAQs that we had shared with our staff, because we knew that a lot of these are the questions that they were gonna wanna know. What if you see a student's phone outside of their yonder pouch? It is automatically going straight to the dean and then to the front office. One of our big goals with this is, as we all know, when you have 100 different classroom teachers, 150 different staff members implementing a policy, it can get tiresome, and it's hard on the staff, right? So we know that this puts a lot of it into our dean's hands, which I believe that will be really good. So the staff member will call the dean will confiscate the phone will go into the office until the parent picks it up. What if a student forgets their pouch? I did mention that earlier, but that means that it goes into the office for parent pickup. If they damage their pouch or they lose their pouch, we are charging students the fee for replacement. It is a straight $30 fee, so it's exactly what it cost. And then that would go on to their Skyward account, just like we do currently with like Chromebook costs and things like that. And then obviously the phone would also go into the front office for parent pickup. I don't think we put this in the presentation, but one other thing our team is going to implement is that once a month we'll have what we call accountability checks. And so we'll go around, the admin team and the dean will go around to all the rooms and ask to see the pouch. So if a kid doesn't have it on them, that's that, but we're gonna go around just to kind of double check that there isn't damage to the pouch and that everyone's got their phone in their pouches. It'll be kind of a surprise accountability check. And that way, if we saw damage that wasn't super noticeable, hopefully we would catch it in those instances. Ways that it can get damaged is if they are scratching at it to try and break it open, if the pin gets bent. They said really once that pin gets bent, it's kind of all bets are off. It would need to be replaced. And then just if for some reason we see that it's not closing appropriately. Our timeline, so I sent this timeline out when we needed the presentation due. So I do have some updates to that actually. We have the pouches, so that's really exciting. Like I said, Tanya and I were already starting on labeling. Right now, our hope and our plan is Monday. We will be sending out a firm date Friday with our parent announcement, but we're thinking Monday unless for some reason there's a delay with maintenance being able to get everything put up or us getting it labeled and such, because we want to make sure we do it
Early on, yeah.
or as early as possible and also as effectively as possible. So Monday is our plan as of now. And then in the meantime, I explained this, that if we see a cell phone in a classroom setting, we are calling the dean. The dean is confiscating the phone's going to the office for parent pickup. And our hope is that if parents have to come pick up that phone a couple times, that either that phone is going to stop coming to school or magically the pouch is going to be coming with the phone daily. That's an inconvenience, and I don't want to do that to our families, so I hope that our students do what they need to do, but that will be our procedure. That's the natural consequence, right? If we see repeat offenders, kids that are doing this constantly and that's not enough, we may assign additional consequences, or we may put them on a plan. Maybe they have to keep their pouch in the office and get it every day, or maybe they need to leave their phone in the office every day. But we're hoping for the vast majority of our students, the motivation of being able to have their cell phone on them is going to be enough. What happens in the event of emergency? This came up a lot, and honestly, Yonder's answer was better than anyone I could think of. I didn't even change their wording. But just to kind of sum it up, their point is cell phones are not going to help our students in this situation. Staff will have cell phones. There are still school lines. We don't need kids calling, 15 kids in the same classroom calling 911. We don't need them posting something on social media when this is happening. In an emergency, we need the adults to be the adults and handle the situation. And in some ways, them not being the ones trying to handle the situation is helpful. I told my staff a story that last year we had a student with a medical need in the cafeteria had an incident, and unbeknownst to me, because Mr. Cooper, our dean, our nurse were all taking care of the student. She was very well tended to, but another student couldn't see that, and so she called 911. And so then I had 911 in the cafeteria getting angry with me because they said that they believed that a student was at the school and not receiving adequate medical attention and being ignored, which was not remotely true. So to me, that was a prime example of this, that we need the adults to be able to handle the emergency, not our students. Are there other magnets that work? I'm sure you've all gotten wind of these TikTok things. They said that, sure, they exist. They're not, but that they're very expensive. They're very hard to get to. Other Yonder schools have not found that those actually tend to be something, but that is, yeah, they exist in the world, but they're not very accessible, and it's highly unlikely our students will be able to get their hands on it. And then we already talked about smartwatches and AirPods. And I think that was the end. So those were the frequently asked questions, but obviously we welcome yours. Did you have anything to add,
No, I
Derek?
was going to say that we've done a lot of communication around this. We've done emailing to parents, parent letters, social media posts through Facebook. I'm going to be hosting a community roundtable next week to garner, to walk parents through this presentation, but also to hear their concerns and kind of address that as we get it. We're excited about the rollout for this.
I'm super, super excited. It's been a while since I've been so excited about something work-related.
Board members, student ambassadors, any comments or questions? Go ahead.
Figured.
My question, it might be a little bit uncomfortable, but
Okay.
So in middle school is when a lot of girls get their period and stuff like that, and so how will you guys accommodate girls who end up getting their period and not feeling comfortable enough to tell a trusted adult or anything like that, and not having their phone to be able to text someone and be like, hey, can you bring me a pair of pants? Can you bring me like tampons, something like that? Like, how will that be accommodated? Because I know in our bathrooms we used to have like tampons and pads that girls can use, but I know those get damaged very easily, very quickly, and so it's not. Half the time there wasn't like anything in there, so how will you guys be able to accommodate those girls who don't feel comfortable coming to an adult?
Sure. I mean, I hope that all of our students have at least one trusted adult. But I mean, I'll just start by saying that. But if and when they don't, we are we are not under the assumption that our students will never need to go use the office phone even for a matter like that. So my students will still be able to ask for a pass to the office to go use the phone, absolutely. So I would say that that would be the backup, but in my experience, our social workers, our counselors, our nurse they are fairly trusted adults for our students. So I would like to believe that they would be able to support them. But that's a great question. Thank you.
Thank you.
You mentioned, hi. First
Hi.
of all, I'm excited too. I
Good,
think that
thank
it's
you.
going to help focus, and I wish we can use it in a lot of venues, especially
Mm-hmm.
here. You can put mine there.
Right.
But my question is, so there is a lot of the students, I'm assuming like me, that leave the phone everywhere, and then we use to track and call them to know where is it. Even if they are still in the plane mode, you say parents can still track their devices?
Yes.
And this apply for any device, not only iPhone?
As far as I know, yeah, because it's the GPS part of it. So, yep, so if it's on airplane mode, they should be able to track them.
Also, I noticed that in the pouch you say you're gonna label it, but you can remove that label.
Oh, no, we're writing it in permanent marker.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah,
that-
we
so-
wanted to do that, but that's,
So we'll identify
No.
the pouches by
Ah,
kids' numbers will be identified by it. So like each pouch
All
has a
right.
number.
Okay, thank you.
mhm.
Sorry. I actually just got a question from that. So will you be writing with permanent marker on the pouch, or will it be, because I remember you guys said something about that you guys wanted to save money to be able to use the ones that the 8th graders use and so on and so on. So how will you guys be able to remove it if you write it with permanent marker onto the pouch?
So it won't be labeled by student. It will be labeled by, like, it'll say like 6A, so like Team Dynamic 1. And so, and then we'll have a spreadsheet that says who
Okay,
it belongs to.
awesome.
I just remembered something when I picked this one up. So we are working really hard with our student support services team. Beth and everyone has been really supportive. We know that an accommodation has been like a student needs to have their cell phone on them for whatever reason. First and foremost, we're really working hard with families to figure out why that specifically is the accommodation and how we can meet that better. You know, we've been working with some families. Maybe that student has a pass where they can go to the office to have that access to their families. But we're really trying to think about why that and why we can't find a different function than the cell phone, because we do know that there's a lot of dependence on cell phones, and our students who struggle with those types of needs, anxiety and stuff, honestly, that's not really doing them any service in the long run. It may be feeling good in that moment, but that's probably not the crutch that we want them relying on in the long term. So we're trying to find alternative ways to meet that need. But there are Velcro pouches that they sent to us that are supposed to be really loud. And so this is kind of Yonder's catch-all to that. But we are working really hard to find ways that we can meet the needs without that.
Yes.
Quick couple of questions. First, any idea how many students currently have phones?
I don't know a number, but I will tell you that, like, as a 6th grade administrator last year, I probably knew of 5 or less that I knew did not have a phone. So there could have been
majority,
more,
yeah.
but I actually had a family approach me at like transition day last year at my meeting, and they said, "Oh my gosh, my this other parent told me I have to get my daughter a cell phone," and I was like, I'm not sure who gave you that advice, ma'am, but I actually have the exact opposite advice, if I can be honest. And I know my kids aren't old enough really to have cell phones, but I'd like to think I'll hold off as long as I can.
Well, I have a 5th grader who's demanding one, so.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Next.
So Ben, I was gonna say, I've been kind of paying attention. I don't know if you have Mr. Cooper at metal detection in
Yeah, I
the
was
morning.
gonna say that, yep.
So this morning, I was helping with 2 lines, and I think we honestly had maybe 3 kids who went through out of probably 200 in the line that I was, who did not have a phone.
Yeah.
And when they say they don't have a phone, it kind of, everybody's like, oh, because we say, make sure you put your phone in, take out your phone. And when a kid says, oh, I don't have a phone, we're all like, oh, because it's very rare, especially for the 8th graders. So.
For sure.
That's
Yep.
shocking. Second question, maybe. So they come into school, visually, they're seen putting the phone in the pouch, locking it, and then they're free to do whatever they want.
Yep.
Go to class, please.
Right.
At the end of the day, they can go and unlock their phone. So at lunch, if they're They
No, we're
can't.
saying cell phone free zone, even at lunchtime, hallways,
100%.
100%.
If they, are they allowed to leave campus? Walk out of the door?
No.
They-
That's
No?
just high school.
Okay, so this is 0.
Zero.
Leave it at home.
Zero. Yes. Good. That works
I
too.
fully support it.
Yep.
I'm heartened to know, to hear that you've done this without any board directive. You'll be our guinea pig. So,
Pilot.
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 Pilot
Yes.
project.
Sounds a little better.
So, that being said, expect students to complain for a couple weeks. And then they'll chill out. No, I think they'll chill out. Expect the parents to complain all year. And from my opinion, I'm not here for the parents. I'm here for the kids. So I'm all for it. I'm all for it. This is fantastic. Let's see academic improvement.
Yes.
Let's see kids realizing that they're in a building with other kids because they're now looking up.
Yes.
They have to talk to each
And they talk to each other.
Like,
They're going to ask what
like
their name
verbally.
is. It's going to be great. It's going to be
Yeah.
like what it was when I was in school.
Right.
So,
And we've been kind of monitoring social media, like Randy and I were just talking about this today. So this has made it to Spotted in Champaign. This has made it to some of the other Facebook groups where parents are talking about this, and it's been overwhelmingly positive. Like, I don't do social media, but people have been coming and saying when they're seeing the responses that there are very few parents that are not on board with this, from what I've been told. I don't know, have you guys been
Yeah,
hearing
I've
that
definitely
same
had
thing?
more positive emails from
Okay.
parents than negative or concerning complaints. I think parents are genuinely happy about this.
So a couple questions, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was wondering how many yonder pouches are you purchasing with like the initial?
Yeah, I think we did 1,000, I
I
believe.
believe it was over that, but I don't have the number in front of me. Sorry, Tanya did the, but it's
around
at least,
1,000,
it
yeah.
is minimally 1,000. I
Yeah.
believe we did a little over.
And the other question I have is pertains to student departure, because right now, how long does it take between like the final bell and when the buses start taking off?
About 8 minutes.
8 minutes. So
8 to 10, depending
we're
on which
expecting
bus.
1,000 kids to exit the building, could get through all unlocking their phones and onto the buses in 8 minutes. I was wondering if we might have to expand the
So
bus departure time, if that's
they told
possible.
us when we met with them that in big amphitheaters of 60,000 people, you know, that they get, and people have never done this before, right? These aren't like kids who are going to be doing it daily. They get in people out of concerts in 10 minutes. So maybe, I mean, maybe day 1 or 2, you know, but they said that they do not have any, the reason they thought it would be delayed is if we were doing a non-assignment, because then we would have had to be checking as they go, you know, is
Yeah.
Paul's okay, or
Yeah,
do I
yeah,
need
yeah,
to
yeah.
take it? But they said with just one-to-one assignment, it should be,
Makes it more efficient, for sure.
and we are, Randy and I met today to talk about where the placements will be, and we'll be finalizing that this week. But we're reserving 3. We're only putting up 10 of the 13 mounted, so that way we can say, oh, you know, door 4, or door 6 is not going so well. We need to add another mount. So we'll have 3 to kind of play with over the course of the first couple weeks.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Sherry.
when we visited schools during lunch, we saw that the kids were really on their phones or on their Chromebooks. Will they be able to be on their Chromebooks throughout the lunch period, because there are other things that they can do as well on them?
Yeah, Chromebooks are still fine. We're still one-to-one.
They'll still
with
be allowed,
Chromebooks,
because
yes.
some schools didn't allow it. And what we noticed was some of the kids weren't eating their lunch because they were too
busy
involved
doing
in their
video
phones
games.
and everything like that. So, and the other point is that at departure time, if they have an early departure, they just go to the office, and if they
Yep,
have to go
yep,
home,
and there'll be one in
Okay.
office, yep.
terrific.
Can parents still email their kids and have them respond via Chromebook, or is that?
So I think we pushed pause, and I'll let JIT kind of chime in a little bit on that one.
So we had a lot of conversations about email, and right now our students can communicate in district, but we have not allowed outside people to be able to email because they're middle schoolers.
Yeah.
And we're just
Yeah,
really
yeah.
afraid of.
No, that makes a lot of
you know,
sense.
just-
Yeah.
We did have some
Very-
limited external
Yes.
email for middle schoolers is on currently.
Yeah.
So
I thought we decided we were not gonna allow, because we don't want, you know, pedophiles and
No,
other
that
people
makes
like that
sense, yeah.
emailing our students and pretending to be other people. So, yeah, so we really are encouraging them to use the phone.
Thank
So.
you.
How's traffic flow in the morning been? So we're, because we're doing
Yeah, I
metal
think
detector and yonder, is it really increasing it much, or?
But we haven't not started the yonder yet, just the metal detectors.
Oh, okay. So
And
we
they
won't know.
are, you know, they're learning, so I think a lot of them who came through last year with breakfast, they know the routine, but the 7th graders who are now rising 8th graders, they're figuring it out. Some of them just walk up with their stuff and just stand there and wait for us to give them a directive to say, okay, you gotta take out your stuff and put it in the bin. So it's been good that we've had like a week and a day or two before we start the yonder for them to get used to the metal detection process. And the yonder magnets are gonna be on the other side of metal detection, so
Yes.
as they go through, they'll kind of be already in like a little single file. So as they go out of metal detection in the front, they're in like a line, so they'll just be able to go right by and do their thing as they go past.
And Derek brought up the good point when we were talking about whether it should be the first thing or the second thing, that they have to take their phone out to go through the metal detector. So that kind of will hopefully bar down on if a kid was trying to like keep it in their backpack or something, because they can't go through the metal detector with it. So it won't catch all of them, but it'll help. In our door, the 7th grade and the 6th grade doors where we don't have daily metal detection, they're pretty like tame. They don't usually, it doesn't get super crowded. That's really just the metal detector, which does already have like an organization to it. So I think Rival should be pretty good.
That's my question. I wondered, you said 8 minutes to get out of the building and get everybody phone unlocked. How long do you think it will take to get kids into the building and into their first class? And do we have to make time for that? We don't want the first class to be cut short all the time.
Yeah, we kind of experienced a little bit of that with the metal detection last year. So, I mean, I think with any new system, there'll be some growing pains, of course, but it shouldn't add significantly to the metal detection because they're kind of already waiting for their bags to be searched and things. And like I said, the other doors, those are already, it's very staggered. I was like trying to find the word. It's very staggered because there's a drop off and then there's one bus. There isn't like a huge influx of kids. It should be pretty smooth.
And right now, with kids already going through the metal detection process, they're already taking out their phones. They're just putting their phones in their pockets. With this process, they'll be putting them into the pouch.
And the nice thing is 4 days a week they have advisory, so they are pretty much through everything by the time we start first hour, which is the first class. So
It gives us a little buffer. Yep.
that gives you a little buffer.
Yeah, I had a question. So earlier it was mentioned that students are obviously going to be complaining for the first week or two, but students might also retaliate and lose their pouches on purpose or damage them. And, you know, this isn't going to be a small group of kids. It's most likely going to be like a huge group of kids who strongly feel, you know, about this because everybody's attached their phone nowadays. So how are you prepared to handle that?
Yeah, so a couple of things. So when that's happening, we're really going to be very firm when it comes to the $30 fee. And also, if a student does that, we're not going to reissue another pouch for the kid to damage that. They'll have to have that phone brought to the office for a parent pickup each time they come to the school, without that pouch.
And if the parent doesn't want to pay the $30 fee to get a new Yonder pouch?
Yeah, so it's really not like an optional thing. We had to put it on the student's account and charge it that way.
Okay. Thank you.
But don't we have an awful lot of students on free and reduced lunch and they don't have to pay fees? Would they have to pay for this
So the
if they don't use?
So the way it works for Chromebooks is we put it on their account, and if we have reason to believe that a family is struggling, then we'll work with that family and take those things into account on a case-by-case basis. And obviously, we're gonna treat things a little differently, like, oh, I forgot to close it and it got damaged in my backpack. We're still gonna charge everyone because this is what we're doing. But that's different than I went into the bathroom and I cut this open. You know, that's when we're, just like we do everything else, we're gonna weigh the circumstances, discuss as an admin team, calibrate consequences. And like Mr. Cooper said, if that's something you're doing regularly, then you will be dropping your phone off in the front office if you're bringing it to school.
Yeah, and our students definitely would prefer to have their phone with them, so this pouch allows them to keep that on their person.
So I heard you guys say about like music and stuff, and I know a lot of students, especially now, use music to stay focused in school, and or any other like version of that, and like with AirPods and stuff. So you guys said that they can use their Chromebooks, but are like certain apps and or like websites going to be restricted for them to not be able to listen to that music, or like is it going to be more freely accessed now?
Yeah, they already have restrictions for certain websites they can't visit or certain apps they can't use.
But they still have had access to music. We have kids listening to music on Chromebooks every day. It's just the difference that they can't control it from their phone.
Thank you. Anybody else?
So
Was
those
there
are
any discussion
already
around
those are already not supposed to be out for students, and those are just a little more visible. So we assume that it's a little more easy for us to know. So they're already not supposed to have iPads.
Yeah, that,
The smartwatch is just like the AirPods. It should go into here.
Yep.
I don't know. For the high school, they can bring their own computers. Is it the same for the middle school? I'm not too sure. Okay.
They're not
Oh.
supposed
just,
to.
yeah, just the,
Okay.
just the Chromebooks.
My kids have little Fitbit watches that don't do anything except count steps. There's a little bit of nuance there, I guess, if somebody at the door sees somebody with a Fitbit that doesn't do anything except count steps. Will this just be a case-by-case basis, or?
Yeah, so things like that, like exercise tools, like that's fine for students to have, like same as for a normal watch.
Right,
We just don't want smart watches or the AirPods.
Yeah, and I've had those two specific questions to me from families. You know, I keep meaning to say this because it kind of came up, but we didn't say it. We have had families say, like, I genuinely don't have a cell phone for my student. Do I have to have a pouch? And we said, no, that's fine. We don't have to assign you a pouch. And then we'll never see the cell phone, right? So we're never gonna have to confiscate it. And yeah, a student had like almost like a play watch. It wasn't even a Fitbit, but yeah, he was like, "Can I wear this?" I was like, "Well, yeah, it's not. You can't call or text or access the internet." So
You're allowed
Right.
You're allowed to tell time, but that's.
yeah,
Exactly.
of course.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing how this works out.
Thank you.
We are too. Thank you, guys.
We do have action items tonight in our consent agenda. I'll read these off. If anybody wishes to have an individual item removed from their consent agenda, please say so. 11.1 are our minutes from the June 18th business meeting and the August 6th study session. 11.2 are June and July bills and checks, ed fund bills for $5.56 million, O&M fund bills for $977,000, bond and interest fund for $418,000, transportation fund for $422,000, working cash bonds for $707,000, school facility occupancy tax for $839,000, tort for $655,000, life safety levy for $176,000, payroll for $9.8 million, and Urbana adult education for $205,000. There's a set of personnel items that were published in our packet. That's 11.3. 11.4 is resolution authorizing and directing the sale or disposal of property. This includes various technology equipment and various curriculum books. 11.5 is approval of travel expenses. This is for Catherine Plotner, Andrew Jackson, Tori Harvey, Melissa Kearns, and Patricia Valente to attend the NWEA Fusion Conference held in Denver, Colorado back in June. And 11.6 is an approval requested for a new activity account for the UHS girls flag football team. Is there a motion to approve these action items on our consent agenda?
Move for approval?
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Does anybody wish to remove any of these? Hearing none. Are there any further comments or questions about any of these consent items? Hearing none, a roll call vote is in order.
Vice President Exum,
Yes.
Member Langendorf, yes. Member Staton,
Yes.
Member Hickson,
Yes.
Member Jones,
Yes.
Member Baxley?
Yes.
President Pulowski?
Yes. We do have two individual items on our agenda this evening. The first are gifts. From Chicago Bears Care, they donated $2,500 to start a girls' flag football program. Morton and Phyllis Brissell donated $100 to Leal Elementary School. The Urbana Middle School received an anonymous donation of $1,375. These funds were used to pay for IESA membership dues. Twin City Garden Club of Champaign-Urbana donated $1,500 to the Farm to School program. Dave and Lisa Harlow donated a Fender guitar and Hernandez guitar to Urbana Middle Schools and Meta High School's music programs. And Mike and Debbie Harashi donated Selmer alto sax and Bundy Berry sax to Urbana Middle School. Is there a motion to accept the gifts and send out thank yous?
Move for approval?
Second?
Accept it?
Any further comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Member Langendorf, yes. Member Staton?
Yes.
Member Hickson?
Yes.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Baxley?
Yes.
President Pulowski?
Yes.
Vice President Exum?
Yes.
And our last action item of the evening is 12.2, a resolution expressing official intent regarding certain capital expenditures. This is this is related to the proceeds for the bond issuance used for the 6th grade center. Is there a motion for the floor?
Move for approval?
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any further comments or questions from board members?
Can you explain a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, I sent board members, Carol is on too, so she might wanna, she had an eye appointment this afternoon, and so she wasn't able to drive, so she's on Zoom. But I did, Carol put together some notes that I shared with the board yesterday, specifically related to the resolution. I know there were some questions about the language. It really is very much a legalese document that they create for us. So is Carol, I don't know if Carol wants to say anything or she wants me to keep talking. Okay, Carol.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer questions. This is something we do for every bond issue. Because we are delayed in selling the bonds, just because of losing your CFO, we are not selling till now October 31st, I think, on Halloween. We'll be actually closing and receiving the funds then. But as you know, the project's already started. So this resolution just allows us to be able to go back from October till now, as well as 60 days prior to the date the board actually approved the resolution tonight. So we'll be able to go back to June 21st. July 21st, as far as any bills we've paid. So that's the intent of the resolution, and it's very normal. And sorry if it was confusing, because I know it's all legalese, as Jennifer said. It's just information that our bond counsel puts together for every bond issue. So it's all very standard.
And this is for the 6th grade center.
Yeah.
Yes, it's so that, yeah.
Yes, correct. Sorry,
I thought
it's for the 6th
grade
grade
center will
center.
be ready for this.
Yes, so this is just so we can, because we had to delay our buying the bonds. We were gonna do it much earlier, but then with Katie leaving, we wanted to delay it and, talk to, just kind of delay the process so we have a little more stability when we get to that point. So this just allows us to be able to go back because we've already been spending money. And when we do get the bonds, then we'll be able to go back to June 21st and just move the payments and expenditures, all the money that we've spent, then now we can move it under the bonds and take it out of the places where we spent it from.
And
Does
that's
that
going to
make sense?
affect the initial budget, or is it inside of the budget?
No, it's all part of the capital project budget, and
Yeah.
that's where, it's all part
Yeah.
of the bonds right now. I think.
It doesn't impact anything. It's just basically allowing us to reimburse our district funds. Once we sell the bonds and get that 23 million in for the project, we'll be able to reimburse our other accounts with the bond proceeds.
Of wherever we
Once we
put the
sell the
money.
bonds. So it doesn't impact the construction costs or anything. It's just a legal document we have to have in order to be able to reimburse ourselves for the expenditures we're making up until the point we actually sell the bonds in October.
And it's also not going to affect I thought the project will be ready for this start year, but
Oh,
it's
yes.
not.
Oh, yeah, this has nothing to do with the timeline
It-
for the project. This is just are spending our money to pay for it.
So when is the deadline for the project to finish, to be complete?
Our goal is still opening for next year, for August, for the first day of school for 25-26 school year, next August.
I think the note that Jennifer sent to us said that we could pay bills starting from June 21st,
Yes.
Correct.
but
Correct.
we never approved it until June 25th. I'm wondering,
Well, we were actually spending money on architect fees for the last year for the design of the project. So most of the, and also I think we had some asbestos abatement at Wiley that we were doing. So we had some things, obviously the planning for the construction and the whole design of it was being done all last school year. So that, all that expenditures were paid from during last school year. And I think the project started at the beginning of August, right? Just within the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we've been
Randy, maybe
spending
will
money all
answer that,
year.
but-
Like we spent over $1 million to just abate the building, just to get all the asbestos out. And as Carol said, our architects have been working with us for a whole year. So, and we have to pay that.
Yeah, but a lot of those expenditures last year were just paid from our sales tax money, the design fees and stuff. We're only looking to go back to June 21st, and in reality, we may not even have to go back that far. This resolution just covers us, but we didn't really have that many expenses, I don't believe, between June and July. Most of them are going to start pretty heavy in August once the construction begins.
Well, thank you for that explanation. Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Member Staton? Member Hickson?
yes,
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Baxley?
Yes?
President Pulowski?
Yes.
Vice President Exum?
Yes.
Member Langendorf, yes.
Motion passes. There is no call for future special or executive meetings. It's time for our superintendent's report.
Okay, we haven't had a lot of activities since it is really just the, fourth day of school. So I did want to share a few pictures from the first couple of days of school. So here are a few that you can't see the one behind the Zoom, but that photo over there on the side there with the student kind of hugging their teacher was just so sweet. And that we saw a lot of that, just students happy to be back in school and happy to see their teachers and their friends. So it was a great opening day. We have open houses coming up. So last week, all of the elementary schools and early childhood had their welcome back to school nights. They will have their open house curriculum nights coming up later in September. But UMS and UHS are having their traditional open house events. So UMS is tomorrow from 6 to 7, and UHS is next week from 6 to 7. So at both places, there will be clubs, enrichment activities, PTSAs will be there. So a lot of information for families and caregivers to learn about the school communities in both of those buildings. The next slide is really for parents who are going to be engaging with this. We post it on the internet and we share it out with staff. And so you guys had the benefit of hearing the presentation about Yonder, but we definitely want to make sure that those of people who weren't here tonight have a little information about the Yonder pouches. We're on the Yonder pouch, next one, John. And we wanted to make sure that we put in that you could join the community roundtable via the link here, August 28th from 5 to 6 to really discuss for parents who really have very specific questions that they want answered, or they just want feedback, or they want to share their thoughts about the Yonder. That link is there, and Mr. Cooper has been sharing this, and so we'll continue to share it between now and next week. And next, this is just a follow-up as we have back to school happening. We have a lot of students walking around in our neighborhoods, and some of our students who walk alone. And so we had an incident here recently in Urbana where a student was approached by a stranger. So we sent some information out to families yesterday. We're working with our city and our police to make sure that we're providing safe walking routes for our students. So this is just a reminder for parents who maybe didn't get the message yesterday that we sent out. We provided some links for parents to look at. If you haven't talked to your children who walk back and forth to school, we just wanted to give families some little reminders about strangers, where students and where children should go if they're approached by a stranger. Just some reminders about walking in groups, not cutting through alleys and going into areas, kind of by yourself. So this is just a reminder, but hopefully all of our families received the email that we sent out yesterday. And that is it. Oh, did you have a question? Yeah.
Yes, I have a couple of questions about
Oh,
first days
sure.
and open houses. So first of all, I want to check with the teachers and staff and all the schools to see they're okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations to everybody. I know that was a tremendous job to open school, especially Yankee Ridge. I went there to the open house, and everybody was excited, a little bit nervous, and obviously we all were wandering around the new building. I sent an email to them congratulating them and
Nice.
turning them up. I want to ask you about transportation. I know there was a lot of chaos the first day. Everything is settled down now?
So I've been over at Yankee Ridge almost every day except today for helping with buses. They have 7 buses that are coming to that school right now. And so there's been a lot of changing in bus routes every day. And First Student is working really, really hard. And people have been very gracious. We know it is just the first couple days. And so we're giving a lot of grace for our families and for our teachers and for parents, for our bus folks. But yeah, it is starting to settle down. Today was way better than yesterday. They do have 480 kids there, so it is a lot of students to get out and on buses. So the car rider line has gotten better. The first day it was pouring down raining, so of course everyone dropped off and picked up. But since then, car rider line has gotten better. So the systems are in place, and every day it has improved. So busing around the whole district, it is just the first couple days of school, so they're still tweaking bus routes. We are highly encouraging families to download the First View app. So we've been pushing that out and reminding people that if you have that app, you can follow your student wherever the bus is going, because they have been running a little late. So, the first day or two, it took the buses like 30 minutes to pull away from Yankee Ridge, and we had parents coming up like, wait a minute, the bus was supposed to be here 10 minutes ago. And so we're getting that has been going really well. So they have a lot of teachers who are helping, a lot of district staff who have been helping. So it is settling down, yes.
What about in the other schools, Leal and Dr.
Everywhere else
Williams?
is going okay. They're still tweaking routes because we, of course, still have people showing up to register. My wish is that everybody would pre-register before the first day, but that doesn't happen. So as families come in and register, we have to adjust those buses. We're sending out letters today at Dr. Williams because we had to add a student that was going to impact 38 kids on the bus, because one student can change the bus route significantly. So hopefully everybody is getting in and getting registered, and that will settle down really soon.
Are we doing any follow-up with the families from Yankee Ridge that were to other schools?
So they've all settled in. And I know the welcome back nights, I've tried to visit all of them. And people were really excited to be in their new spaces. Excitement might be my word, I don't know, but I saw a lot of smiles. The staff who are in those spaces have really taken this move as a way for a fresh start, and a lot of them are embracing the spaces that they're in, whether they're at Leal or Dr. Williams or wherever they might be. I feel like there has been positive energy in a lot of the spaces. So.
My last question is about after-school programs. Is there happening in Splash any?
Yeah, all the after-school programs are up and running. Before school was at Yankee Ridge, it is now at Leal. It was at Leal for many, many years, so that the before-school program moved back to Leal, and all the other buildings have their after-school programs going. Middle school hasn't started yet because we typically don't start until a week or so after Labor Day.
So it's after school, no Splash?
There is no splash, it's just ASCCP right now.
All right, so
Yeah.
there's gonna be any grant that substitute, because I know after school can be a little bit pricey for families.
Yeah, we
Splash was a
wrote
little
the
bit more
grant, yeah.
affordable.
So we wrote the 21st Century grants. They were actually due on Friday. So we signed, Tanya and I signed everything, and they were submitted. So we just have to cross our fingers to see if we get those grants. We've had them for many, many years. So we don't know if we will be given another opportunity because, again, they were trying, the reason they said that they were kind of giving other districts an opportunity, because we've had those grants for 10 years, like a long time. So we're hopeful that we will get them back, but if we don't, it will probably just be ASCCP for now, and then unless we can find other grant funds to have after school.
All right, thank you.
Well,
Questions?
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I was out of town last week, so I wasn't able to go to any of those.
The
those
welcome back
Welcome
nights.
backs. Is there any way we could schedule some board visitations at the schools?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you guys, yeah, you
You
just,
can
as
always
far
go
as
to
you'll
a
just
meeting.
go
two or-
call,
I
yeah.
know,
Just
instead
give
of
the
just
principal
all of
heads
us
up.
going individually, if we could
I
maybe
think
have some
if you
dates,
just
get some dates where we
coordinate with the
can.
principal, yeah, you don't, I don't
mean,
think you
we
need
could-
permission, just,
If more than two board members go at a time,
Right.
then
Yeah.
we run into FOIA issues, or freedom, the
Right.
open
OMA.
issues.
But
Right.
yeah, if you coordinate that with the principal, then they can schedule
Okay.
it where to make sure that you're,
I didn't want like seven of
Not.
us all going on 7 different days, so that
Oh, yeah.
might be too much for them as well. And the other thing I read online about money that Urbana received from Senator Faraci recently. It was over
for,
$1.3 million. It was announced.
is that
August
the
19th.
environmental, I don't know what
No,
that is then.
yeah.
What is it for?
For reading.
Oh,
So
for Urbana School District or
Yeah.
for the city?
for the Urbana School District, they had all the different school districts.
Okay. Well, I didn't know about that.
Okay. I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah,
get you.
see, find it, send it to us, that's great. Yeah. For what?
Yeah, and Champaign didn't get that much.
Okay, well, yeah, please send it to us.
Oh, go ahead.
I had a question. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like backtracking for the after school for Yankee Ridge. So because there's so many bilingual students now, for after school, at least when I went, there weren't very many like I don't know what you call it, like counselors or like
Staff members?
that take
yeah.
care of the students that spoke other languages. So are
Mhm.
you guys accommodating those students that are now there speaking another language?
So the benefit of being all in one school is most of the staff members there speak Spanish or French, which is great. I don't know specifically how many in the ASCCP are Spanish speakers. Angie might know.
We have a current posting, but we have Alejandro Fragkin, who's was at Lille supporting, and now he's at Yankee Ridge as both a teaching assistant and working for the after-school program. We are still looking for, we actually have other Spanish speakers in the program too, because I met Antonio today and I also met Kevin. We don't have any French speakers in the ASCCP program that I know of, but we do have a current posting. So if anybody knows anyone that would be interested, we're always hiring.
What's the age limit to be a like staff member for after school?
18?
That's a good question too. So,
Or like
we,
requirements?
yeah. We prefer high school graduates. However, we could potentially, when Randy has hired summer work for students, if students are interested in that position, we could definitely have a conversation. Our preference is for them to be past high school just for that age difference, but not necessarily. We have different high school students that want to be teachers, that want to go into education, that just need employment, and right now we need people and we can't be as picky.
Awesome.
Yeah, so spread the word to your friends. Okay?
Will do.
Mhm.
Anyone else? Thanks for the report. Moving on to FOIAs. So the following FOIA has been completed from Tom Schroeder, requesting any records or communications pertaining to the school treasurer and district's multi-million-dollar solar contractor, Verity LLC, including but not limited to disclosures of their pre-existing financial relationship, facilitation of introductions, recommendations for promotion of Verity for district projects, participation in negotiations between Verity and the district, or participation in reviewing, analyzing, or recommending proposals or agreements between Verigy and the district. And from Anani Mouse, a detailed breakdown of the costs associated with each line item in the Read 180 purchase agreement, a list of all materials, software, licenses, professional development, and other items or services included in the purchase, any communication or meeting minutes regarding the decision to purchase Read 180 if available. And these were all processed FOIA requests. Any board reports this evening? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. One last roll call, please.
Okay. Member Hickson,
Yes.
Member Jones,
Yes.
Member Baxley,
Yes.
President Pulowski,
Yes.
Vice President Exum,
Yes.
Member Langendorf, yes, Member Stanton.
Yes.
That's it. Thank you, everybody, and thank you to Anna Seaman for running our cameras this evening.
I know.
You guys jump right in.
Unreal.